Hello there ladies and gentlemen, this is Odin, and in today's video we're going to play Dark Souls 3. A challenge run to be more precise, Gwyn's run. Not this Gwyn, this Gwyn.
So here are the rules. I am not allowed to use any weapons other than a straight sword. I am not allowed to use any shields for this run. I'm only allowed to use offensive miracles that have lightning. I have to beat the whole game with all the DLCs. As you might know, there are only a few offensive miracles in Dark Souls 3 that have lightning in them. And those are Lightning Spear, Lightning Stake, Great Lightning Spear, Sunlight Spear, Lightning Arrow, and Lightning Storm. And most of these miracles are acquired in the late game. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Especially because I'm a total noob and this is the first time that I'm doing a challenge run in Dark Souls 3. So yeah, let's go. For my character, I made the most bitter looking old man and naturally named him Gwyn. I made so many mistakes right from the beginning, like a stupid amount of idiocy. I was torn between choosing the Herald or the Priest because they both had a good amount of faith that would come in handy later on in game. But dude, neither of those has a straight sword. So like pro gamers do, I had to introduce the Crystal Lizard to gravity. Or that. Okay. Then I had to spend 2 hours just to get out of the tutorial part of the game. Yes, 2 hours. I had to beat Gundyr with my bare fists, and it was the first time I was doing that. You've seen it on YouTube, they make it look easy. Trust me, it wasn't. I died so many times. I died to him so many times that the last time I fought him, I knew his every move and could react almost perfectly every time. I guess I just got good. I got the coiled sword and made my way to Firelink Shrine, and spent another 45 minutes trying to farm the hollows outside for a straight sword, and guess what? They don't even drop it! A sad discovery later, I settled for the short sword from the handmaid in Firelink Shrine, and Gwyn found himself in Lothric Castle. And you know what? I got a Lothric Knight sword before I found a straight sword. But I don't have the stats required to wield the weapon. Luckily, the only good thing about starting the game as the priest is that he has a good amount of strength and is low leveled, so it is easy to level up. I sold everything I had and put my souls into dexterity. And here is the second mistake. I chose the fire gem as my burial gift because I thought it would be cool to have a fire sword and it would be similar to Gwyn, and didn't even remember that it turns all the scalings on a weapon to 0. Okay, we'll make a proper fire sword later. Anyways, I talked to an old lady with a banner and was greeted by the Vorty boy who thought was a gorilla or something. I told him that he is in fact a human and he didn't take it well. I took the Lothric Uber, which is just as safe and comfortable, and made my way to Undead Settlement. I taught the locals not to mess with the Lord and stole their Estus shards from town square. Made friends with the giant nuked the poor bastards, got myself an Undead Bone Shard, and politely asked this Outrider Knight to jump into the elevator hole. I made my way to the Roads of Sacrifices and met with Doesn't Shut Up and Doesn't Speak. I also met with the Dark Souls 2 duo, and they were exactly like the game itself. Half of it was boring, and half of it was a pain in the ass. Into the Firing Keep we go. I found one of the best talismans in the game, the Sunlight Talisman, which is made from the banner of our sun boy, Solaire. I also found Elizabeth lying dead embracing Princess Dusk. I was overwhelmed by their sad fate. But hey, we got the Dusk's crown, so that's good. Okay, enough preparation, let's get the Lightning Spear. Nice. This is improvement, boy. Let's test the damage. Trash! But it gets better, I promise. I killed the Stony Asylum demon for a stray demon soul, which is pretty useful because you can make the Havel's Ring out of it. And hey look, Gwyn looks like an old man who was forced to wear a costume at a kid's birthday party. Anyways, let's deal with the Curse-Rotten Greatwood. It's more of a gimmick fight. If you do enough damage to the pustules, they burst and do damage. It's a boring fight, but hey, we got the transposing kiln out of it. Not that I'm gonna be needing it much, but there are some boss items that might actually come in handy later. Maybe. Okay, let's deal with the Abyss Watchers. Brick Wall. The lightning does good damage, especially if you can hit at melee range for the bonus damage, but the problem is that I'm not good enough. I am used to beating this boss with a shield, and doing it Bloodborne style was completely new to me. We gotta get good again. Okay. Oof. It only took me 15 tries, barely alive, and out of Estus. Hey, I really did get good. More faith, and into the catacombs of Carthus we go. Before continuing to High Lord Walnir, I made a detour to the remains of Izalith. I introduced the Mimic to the Stray Demon, who kicked the shit out of the demon and hugged me to death. We talked a little about personal space with the Mimic, and he didn't take it well, so I just killed him. And made my way to the Gothic Goblet of Teenage Issues. I can't believe I'm saying this, but for the first time in my life, I died to Walnir. Twice. Alright, third time's the charm. After dealing with my pubescent insecurities, I decided that I need even more brains, so I leveled up attunement. And back to Roads of Sacrifices to meet with Logan's biggest fan, the Crystal Sage. I forgot that I was wearing Dusk's crown, which increases the magic damage you receive by 30%, and died to the Sage also for the first time in my life. Deciding that this beautiful head only deserves a crown, I refused to wear any head armor, and told the Sage why being a sorcerer is for nerds. More attunement, contemplating whether 15,000 souls is a good price for a crown with no special effects, and then more faith. And we arrive at the Cathedral of... I saved Gale for dessert and made my way into the cathedral. I high-fived a giant with my face and realized that mimics are almost immune to lightning. I know. Tome. Going back to my gothic rituals, I played with Aldrich's Tarantula for a bit and started to take my anger out on people who had nothing to do with me up to that point in their lives. The deacons were no problem. It was actually the first time that I really felt good about my lightning spear. I think this is one of the very few places in game where I was able to hit multiple enemies with a single cast of lightning spear. Okay, we need to have our faith at 35 for the next miracle, so more points into that. And the next miracle is ours. The only reason I waited this long was because I didn't have enough faith to cast it. Well, I still don't have enough faith to cast it, so let's pay Papa Demon a visit. The fight overall wasn't that hard, but I got greedy near the end and almost died. But hey, with the souls we got from that boss, we can now use our second lightning miracle, Lightning Stake. And oh boy, isn't that beautiful. It didn't even hit at melee range. I hate the labyrinth that is Irithyll, so I'm not even going to talk about it. It's just full of traps and overpowered enemies that don't look like they're that strong, but they are very strong, and it's filled with dogs and stuff and like invisible enemies and stuff. I hate it. Anyways, I opened the shortcut to Sullivan and decided to pay 15,000 souls for the crown, because the king's head only deserves a crown. 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 Man, I love the slow walk and how his swords light up. Yeah, I died quite a few times, but hey, he seems to be weak to lightning, so my miracles do a stupid amount of damage. It can almost one-shot the clone. So after almost 10 tries, He goes down. You can't make Gwyn your personal dancer, boy. Ouch. Okay, I'll dance. I dealt with the next Dark Souls 2 duo and made my way to Anorlando. Or should I say, Anolondo. Oh my god, I hate these knights. Plus, they try to beat me out my own game. Lightning is mine. Now that we're here, I thought it would be a nice time to pay a visit to Gwendolyn's chambers. The brass armor is a pretty decent armor set with high magic resistance. And this. It does what? I didn't know this exists. Anyway, ready to see the real tragedy in Anorlando? R.I.P. man, R.I.P. But hey, with his coal, we can use the chaos gem I found to make a proper fire sword. On to Alridge. He is pretty resistant to any kind of magic, but his lightning resistance is not high enough to stop me from using my miracles. It was an okay encounter, I'd say. Nothing to mention. More attunement, more faith, and we head down to Erithal Dungeons. I also hate this place, so of course nothing happened. I just went through it as quickly as possible. And we get to the dancer. Wait, what? Oh my god. I forgot to record Yorm! Jesus! Okay, so this is New Game Plus that you're seeing. The first time I did Yorm, I had to hit him like 3 times in the head with Lightning Spear to get him to stagger. Alright. Okay, so maybe for New Game Plus, the Sunlight Spear would be enough? Huh, no. Okay, we need a lot more mana for this. Believe me, it was way easier the first time. Okay, now seriously, let's get the dancer. Dragon Slayer armor. He is, I think, the only boss in the whole game that was almost completely resistant to my lightning, which makes sense because he used lightning himself to hunt dragons. And I was fine with just using the straight sword, but man, the hollow dragons were a pain. But stand in the way of Gwyn and you must be cut down, even if your knighthood was bestowed upon you by Gwyn himself. I'm just gonna skip the long way between his bonfire and the Duke's Archives bonfire. Then I went back to Firelink Shrine to not level up my faith. That last fight made me realize how much I lack stamina, so more points into endurance. Into Great Library we go. I said hi to Mega Nerd's brother, met with the rest of the science club, and registered at the library. If you don't know, having wax on your head will prevent you from being cursed by Seath's hands. Dunking your head into wax really helps in the archives. More nerds and more of these little and we arrive at the top. Just because it's easy doesn't mean that I wasn't an idiot. So yeah, I pussied out and switched to brass armor to get Logan's second biggest fan. We're still going up, baby. Then I was finally ready to meet with the D&D gang. They're really tough, I'm not gonna lie, they almost killed me. But Gwyn is determined and there's no amount of lore and nerd that can stop him. I took the elevator up and arrived at Demon Souls Bridge. Man, their cutscene. It's my favorite in the whole game. I just love how much he doesn't give a damn.
Oh dear. Another dogged contender. Welcome, unkindled one, purloiner of cinders. Mind you, the mantle of Lord interests me none. The fire-linking curse, the legacy of lords, let it all fade into nothing. You've done quite enough. Now have your rest.
Anyways, I've struggled with this boss so many times on my previous runs that I know almost all their moves, so I didn't die. No, I didn't die. No, really, I didn't die. Shut up, you brat. Okay, no need to lose temper. I brought all the heads back to Firelink Shrine and got back what was rightfully mine to begin with. But we're not going to end the game yet. First, it's time for the painted world of Ariandel. What you hiding, Gale?
Yo, you want a piece of this?
No, thank you. I'll just touch it. Oh. No, Gale, no. No means no, Gale, no. Alright. I quickly made my way into Ariandel Chapel and received a very warm welcome. Thank you. So half-heartedly, I left the chapel and left a bad review on their Airbnb. I also met this guy and convinced him that a dead champion doesn't need servants. Yeah, don't pray to the dead, dude. Also, your wolf is like a cheap knockoff of Sith. I opened the way to Father Ariandel and told Sister Frida why his dad was right. More levels into Vitality and it's time to deal with my son. Yo, look what the handmaid sells now. Lorian's set with a cool looking crown. But first, we need to deal with the madman Osiris. And oh man, is he weak to lightning. Anyone who sides with the dragons is a traitor. And traitors die. And here we go to the parallel universe of darkness. The Untended Graves. It's payback time, Gundyr. Champion or Eudix, you bend the knee to me. But going through the dark Firelink Shrine, I had an epiphany. Here exists a world without flame. With flame came disparity, heat and cold, life and death, light and dark. Life is brilliant, beautiful. It enchants us to the point of obsession. Peace grants the illusion of life, shackled by the falsehoods we yearn for love, unaware of its grand illusion. Fear of death does not ask for life, for there is no death if there is no life. Maybe Gwyn's son was not wrong after all. In search of absolution for the first sin, I proceed to Archdragon Peak. In an epic clash against the Nameless King, I start ridding the world of every false doings I have committed. Seeing the world in its true shape, I must find every great soul and bring them to the kiln of the first flame where it all began. Be it the dragon I personally appointed to watch the abyss, or my own kin, sacrificed to stop the spread of humanity. At the end of all things, there I stood against the only other living thing, Gale. Once the Lord of Sunlight, now the deliverer of death. I put an end to his years of service and finally confront myself. I, and all those who I have deceived throughout the march of time, I am responsible for the agony brought upon the world. It falls upon me to make it right.
The first flame quickly fades. Darkness will shortly settle. But one day, tiny flames will dance across the darkness. Like embers linked by Lord's Pass. Ashen One, hearest thou my voice still?
So yes, if you were wondering, Gwyn can beat Dark Souls 3.